Hello, and welcome to Cooking with Care with Chef Robin Blair. Once again, I'd like to welcome you to my kitchen. Today, we are going to prepare a whole roasted chicken right in our oven. It's going to be absolutely delicious. It's a time saver, and it's also a money saver. Let's get started. What we have here is a whole roasted chicken. It's in this nice little container because it had to thaw in my refrigerator. Make sure you're always thawing in the refrigerator to keep your food safe. This is actually very simple. We're just going to use some simple things you probably have. We're going to use some onion. We're going to use some celery. Now, this recipe is wonderful to use for those middle of the celery pieces that you throw away. This is where you would use that at. We're also going to use my absolute favorite, some fresh garlic. We've got some different spices here. We've got a little salt and pepper. We have some bay leaves we're going to be using. We have a ton of Italian spices, basil, thyme, oregano. I also have my spice blend that I like to use. And we're also going to use a little bit of sage. Okay, so we're going to get started. We're going to first off chop up our vegetables very, very loosely. Okay, this is not, you don't have to be perfect about this. These aren't really even going to be eaten. These are to give it flavor. So we're going to rinse them off. Always making sure to rinse them. Going to cut our onion. As you see, I've got huge pieces here. As I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is only going to take a couple minutes to assemble. Now we're going to take some garlic. Once again, we're smashing our garlic. We're getting our anger and frustrations and stress out from the day, and we're blaming it on all that garlic. Okay, I've got 3 cloves here, which we are going to mince. If you prefer to purchase the garlic in a jar, that's perfectly fine. You can do that. I tend to prefer to purchase my garlic whole. I think it has a better taste to it. So we're just mincing it up. We're just chopping it up into little pieces here because I've got a trick I'm going to show you for the juiciest, most flavorful bird. There we go. We'll move that to the side. Chop up all our onions. Now that we have our celery, our onions, and our garlic chopped, let's assemble our bird. I have prepared here a pan for you. You can use whatever you have in your house. If you have a roasting pan that has a little rack under it, that's perfectly fine. If all you have is a baking dish, go with what you have. We're going to take our bird. We're going to put him right in our pan. Here's my trick for seasoning your chicken. You have to get into your bird. What you want to do, you want to reach down. As you see right here is the lovely breast. So what you want to do is you want to reach in there and you want to loosen up the skin up under your breast. Just want to get that nice and loose. Sometimes you have to put your bird down. You got to kind of work through it. You want to get in there. You want to make sure that skin is nice and loose. Pull it down. Pull your hands down into the bird as you see. So I'm getting down there with that thigh and right into that drumstick. What we're going to do is we are going to place some herbs and seasonings and garlic right under the skin. This is going to give you a very flavorful bird, and for those of us who want to lessen the fat and we want to take that skin off, you can do that and not miss out on any flavor. There we go. And if you rip it a little bit, it's fine. It's going to come out beautifully. As you see, I have a little bit of a rip there. But now, I do definitely suggest mixing your spices ahead of time because you don't want to cross-contaminate your spices. And who wants to have to wash their hands 12 times while doing this? So we're going to move the bird to the side. We're just going to take a little bowl. We're going to mix in just about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. We really don't need all that salt. About 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper. As you see, I'm kind of eyeballing this. about a teaspoon or so of garlic, and whatever herbs you have available. I'm using one of my favorites, my Trader Joe's 21 Seasoning Salute. This is one of my favorite herb spices, and it's a salt-free blend. So we're using a good, generous two teaspoons of that. Got some nice thyme here, about a half a teaspoon of thyme. We're going to mix together another half a teaspoon of basil. And just a pinch of sage. Our bird is in a nice, as we said earlier, this is just a baking dish. I've covered it with aluminum foil to make the cleanup so much easier. We sprayed it with a little bit of cooking spray. So now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of our seasonings, and we're just going to sprinkle it up in that skin. So we're getting in there deep. We're not going to reuse these seasonings. Once we put our hands in there, we've contaminated these seasonings. We don't want to make anybody sick. So as you see, we're really massaging that bird. So we're giving our bird a nice little massage here, making sure we're getting it on all that nice breast meat. Sometimes that breast can be a little dry and flavorless. I'm actually more of a thigh and leg girl. So we're going to take a little more. We're going to get on this whole drumstick right here. And as I said before, if it rips apart, don't worry. Now you want to take some of that minced garlic and do the same thing. Get some of that garlic in there. As I said, if you want to add some olive oil to this, you can. Honestly, the skin is going to give you a nice amount of fat, so you really don't need it. Okay. Now, this is going to seem funny. You want to sit your bird up for a second. I'm going to take some of that seasoning mix, sprinkle it on the inside, just a little bit, and just sprinkle a little bit on the back. I want to make sure our whole bird is nice and seasoned. Now, I'm going to make sure that skin is covering the top, and we're going to sprinkle the seasoning mix on the top. Another really nice thing to add to this would be some paprika. Give it a little bold red color. Now be generous because we're not using a whole bunch of salt, so be generous with the seasoning mix. Okay, so as you see, our bird is nicely seasoned. Looks beautiful, doesn't it? We'll take that little bit left and we'll season up the back. Make sure you get those wings. I haven't tucked the wings in yet for a specific reason. Now it's time to tuck them in. You want to turn that wing on its inside, as you see what I'm doing here. Bring it up a little closer for you to see. And take that wing so it doesn't get dry. We're going to pull it out, tuck it under. Okay, that way your wings don't get dry. Let's do that again. Take that wing out. You want to tuck it behind. That's all you need to do. Now, on the inside that we've already seasoned, we're going to shove some of this celery in there. Shove it around too, because all of these vegetables, it's going to first off be pretty for your presentation, and secondly, it's going to give it a lot of great taste. And we want lots of taste, but we want it with less sodium, and that's what we're encouraging you to do here. We're going to sprinkle in that garlic, sprinkle in a little bit around, and we're going to shove some carrots in. There's some carrots. We're going to shove some onions in there. You could actually use carrots as well if you'd like to. We're going to make sure the back gets some. Now, I just want to make sure that skin is covering that breast. If you need to, if it ripped, you can just put a little toothpick in there to hold it. You want to make sure that that breast stays nice and moist. Let's start off putting it in a high degree oven, about 450 degrees for about 20 minutes. We want it to get a nice color on it. Then we're going to lower that temperature to 350, cover it, and cook it for an additional 45 minutes or so until the internal temperature reaches 165 degrees. We'll be back. We've just taken our bird out of the oven. Let's take a peek. Absolutely beautiful. You've got beautiful color there, nice and golden brown, and that skin is still crispy. What I like to do is I like to check my bird with my meat thermometer in 2 places. I like to get a nice meaty place in the breast and deep down in that thigh. We want to make sure it's completely done. We don't want anyone ever getting sick. We're going to plate this up. As you can see, our entire meal is prepared. We have our beautiful roasted chicken, our decadent mashed sweet potatoes, and our wonderful steamed green beans with onions. Very easy recipes, wonderful for your whole entire family. Thank you so much for joining me. I would ask that you would visit me at www.cookingwithcareonline.com and make sure you subscribe to my blog, which is updated every week with wonderful pictures of meals, different recipes, and other nutrition information that I hope will be of interest to you. Thank you so much again for joining me. God bless you.